a child his priority? How can a father who is incarcerated be a father? And now, the only thing my 24-year-old self wonders is, who is to blame for my absent father? Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my reading.
All right, that was another great piece. Next up, coming to the stage, we actually have myself, this amazing young woman. Her name is Ashley Dorsey, and she is going to be reading her piece called Passing the Test. So let's give her a round of applause. Hi, well, I am so blessed to be here tonight at this reading. I thank you so much for everyone who came out, and thank you for that amazing introduction. As she said, my name is Ashley Dorsey. I am a senior mass communications major, and I am from McDonough, Georgia. So a little bit about me. I've been writing since I was very young, honestly. I've been writing little stories, but I didn't really decide to pursue my love of writing until I got to college, where I decided to become an English minor. And so today, basically, I'm going to be sharing one of my original pieces called Passing the Test. Passing the Test basically is a deeper look into colorism and the colorism that African American women face, not only today in 2020, but have always faced. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it. So thank you. Passing the Test. Colorism. Colorism. 3 syllables. Noun. Prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a darker skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. It is safe to say that a majority of black girls grow up thinking they're perfect. Growing up in households with people that look exactly like us, have hair like us, and participate in conversations with family members who use the same dialect as us. Black girls get to live in this perfect world until about kindergarten. Once entering into the school systems and leaving the 4 walls of our humble abode, it is as though we're not respected, understood, or cared for the same way again. I don't think I knew I was different until I walked into Miss Parker's kindergarten class. I came from a family that showered me in I love yous and hey pretty girl. 4 years my parents spent pouring into me with self-love and self-appreciation and self-confidence, just to be greeted by unfriendly colonizers on the playground. Pried and poked at with questions about my hair bows and choice of shoes. I remember at such a young age noticing that they didn't treat some of the other black girls like that. But at the time, I just couldn't understand what there was to differentiate about me. This feeling of not belonging was not shied away from, only gazed over as the years came, and I was accompanied by straighter teeth and more voluptuous breasts. I'd find myself getting through middle school and some of high school, starting to feel more self-appreciation for myself, until I was thrown into unfamiliar territory and reminded of my looks in Dr. Jones' African American Studies class sophomore year. At first, I loved everything about the class. I enjoyed how Dr. Jones challenged us and played devil's advocate constantly with our many questions. I even enjoyed the playful banter that took place between me and my current crush, Reginald McBride. Every day, Reginald reopened wounds that I thought were left on the playground back in kindergarten. During this era of teasing and roasting, it seems as though I was always his open target, but nothing compared to the week that came with lessons on Jim Crow. This lesson was forced to bring us back to the 1950s and also dive into the dreaded paper bag test. These were tests used in cities with high concentrations of African Americans, and they were the standard for entrance into many churches, schools, parties, and establishments. It was simple. Any African Americans that were darker than the paper bag, they were denied entrance. I knew that this test would give my classmates a reason to remind me that I was one of the students with the darkest complexion in the class, and mention how, back then, you wouldn't have passed the test, Ashley. The saddest part about this test is how relevant it still is in 2020. Yes, you don't see people actually using brown paper bags, but the culture of it is still evident in the movies we watch, the models we see on TV, and even on the social media, and even in social media, in the number of likes and subscribers one may have. I'll never forget how at one point in my life I did vast research on skin brightening creams and natural remedies. I remember even considering marrying a man with a fair skin complexion just so that my own children would not have to deal with the misfortunes of our ancestors' skin color. I'm proud to have grown out of these mindsets. The only misfortune I once had was not being confident in who I was created to be. I am a melanated queen. You are a melanated queen, and it's time we start acting like it. Thank you. All right, I hope you guys just enjoyed that piece. We do have our last writer for the night, Miss Tanaya Shockley. Last but certainly not least, she is going to be reading her piece, Guide for Beginners, Natural Hair Regimen. So let's give her a round of applause and welcome her to the stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Tanaya Shockley. I am a senior here at the University of West Georgia. I major in psychology and minor in creative writing. This essay is a part of a collection and it highlights the natural hair struggles that Black women face. I wrote it as a hermit crab essay, and it is in the form of a natural hair regimen that basically takes snippets of my life and my experience with transitioning to natural hair. So the title is called Guide for Beginners, Natural Hair Regimen. Cleanse. I sat in the barber chair, swinging my feet to ease the tingling on my scalp. The Vaseline base kept the relaxer from burning my skin while it pressed my kinky roots. 5 minutes later, my hands joined my feet and a twister dance, and my scalp rapidly burned. It was time to rinse, and I skipped through the hall down to the low-rise sink in the kitchen. I tilted my head back and relaxed as the warm water eased the tension in my head and glided from root to tip. I was gleaming as my hair hung to my shoulders, bone straight and silky. Detangle. At age 15, I decided I didn't want a relaxer. I loathed my friend Erin, who pranced around in her pink-dyed defined coils. She would change the color spontaneously, but it would all match so perfectly against her fair skin. Her older sister Ronnie had a pixie cut that was pin curled to perfection. I wanted to start over and sport a curly cut like my friends. I sat in their bedroom as Ronnie snipped away pieces and styled my hair into a feathered, curled bob with her brother's black scissors. After a few days, my roots were kinky again, but my ends were bone straight. They sprang out in their own directions and rested just above my ears and towards the top of my neck. I huffed as I tussled to shape and tame the ragged chopped pieces of my hair. Deep condition. Cut it off, I scoffed as I shoved the scissors toward Ronnie. They had done it before, and after 9 years of chemicals and straighteners, my hair and I had had enough. She soaked it in water to get an accurate length and began to cut. I squinted tight as the rubbing of the scissors released more inches of my hair. I rubbed my fingers through the tiny curls of what was left of my head. I felt new and liberated until I had gotten home. When my aunt saw what I had done, she threw her hands up and tossed endless questions my way. Did you research? Did you ask anyone? Who told you your hair was damaged? Before she settled down, she tossed her hands up one last time. Well, this is on you. Moisturize. As time went on, I noticed that I needed to do more to care for my hair. It was dry and brittle and often shrunk tremendously into tight coils. I was laughed at and sometimes told that I looked like a boy. Just straighten your hair or get it braided. My friends offered suggestions, but I wanted my curls. I wanted them to be defined and fall perfectly like Ronnie and Erin's. The girls were biracial, and soon I found that because of texture differences, my hair would not fall that way. I was embarrassed that I had cut my hair with no information and vigorously searched for products that would curl my hair. The search was expensive and seemingly endless. My hair was going to suffer. Oil. I had begun to hate my hair. I could not figure out how to make it look the way it was supposed to look. I assumed I didn't have good hair, so I started to get braids as often as possible. I oiled my scalp to relieve the itchiness, and I kept those braids in for weeks at a time. I had parted with my natural hair, and I would deal with it when I felt the length was appropriate. Trim. After wearing braids for so long, handfuls of my hair would come out, even when I combed it. I couldn't tell if it was breakage or dead hair, and I panicked when my aunt talked to me about trimming my ends. I had cut and cut so much of my hair that it almost had none left. She explained that trimming it would help it grow, and since I had been so happy before, a routine trim wouldn't hurt. I was afraid that it wouldn't work. Yet again, I found myself attempting to restore my hair. Love your hair. For 3 years following my big chop, I suffered with the acceptance of my natural hair. I didn't understand why it was so difficult and unmanageable. I straightened it and wore weaves until it had grown past my shoulders again. It wasn't until college that I realized how damaged my hair was. It was thin and brittle from excessive heat. I hid it and damaged it, kept it caged away because it separated me from beautiful. I was forced to come to terms with it. I had to face it, learn it, and love it. As soon as I learned about my hair, I learned about myself. I embraced who I was and where I had come from. I learned that my hair is my crown, my story, and it is not meant to be tamed or hidden. So, thank you for tuning in to my essay about natural hair. I hope you all enjoyed it and going through this journey with me. And Mike and Kira.
Again, we would like to thank you all so much for listening to our pieces. Myself, Ashley, Tanaya, Jakia, we really appreciate you taking the time to watch our pieces and listen to them and hear our different interpretations on these topics. Topics that are so relevant to today's time as it pertains to African American women, as it pertains to us as a whole, whether it's African American women in relationships, African American women in colorism, African American women in natural hair, and African American women dealing with men who are incarcerated or incarceration as a whole. And we just really hope that you were able to gain something or learn just anything new from these 4 different topics on our interpretations of this subject of the African American woman as a whole. Again, thank you so much, and we really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.